Good evening. Today is October 21st, 2019. It is 7:30, and I would like to call the meeting to order. Would you please stand for the opening prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance?
Lord, we are meeting here tonight to conduct matters of business. Guide our hearts and our minds in the spirit of fairness, right thought, and speech. Impart your supreme wisdom upon our activities so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. Thank you for being the source of our guidance tonight. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. How you doing, Jen? Roll call, please.
The rain is absent. Reed?
Here.
Mathis?
Here.
Krug is present. Kessler is absent. Gopal?
Here.
Tucker?
Present barely.
You have 5 members present.
All right. To the members of the audience tonight, we have 3 cameras in the building. One there, and over here. You're being televised, and it'll be on channel 191 Charter Communications, if you have Charter at your home. When you come up to the podium, when we have public comment, that's when I'm going to address that you could come up to the podium. Just give your name. You do not have to give your address, but I'm also going to ask you just that microphone and talk loud. Can you hear me now? Or oh, you can. Okay. All right, approval of tonight's agenda. Is there any questions in regards to the agenda? All right, a motion is in order to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. I forgot to tell you people that starting Wednesday, for 2 weeks, you'll be able to see this program about every 4 hours. You can get online to see the channel scheduling, so you'll be able to see it, because there's school activities and everything on 191. Included in the packet are the minutes for October the 7th meeting. Are there any corrections or requested revisions to these meeting minutes? The meeting minutes stand approved as presented. Expenditures, are there any questions regarding any of your expenditures that are in front of you? I have a few. All right, Tom, the one for Four Lakes project, is that project totally done? Is that the final bill?
Yes.
Oh, all right. Another one is retirees health. Is it only 2 retirees that are on that health plan now? Health care premium?
Which, the Blue Cross?
The Blue Cross.
Well, that's actually all the active and the retirees in one. There's actually 2 different invoices in that total. So
Okay.
But there are 2 retirees
That are on
receiving
it.
benefits, yes.
And Stratman, that's all done anyway?
Correct.
All right. I think that's all I have. Is there any other questions from the board members? None? All right, a motion is in order to approve the expenditures totaling $516,846.47 for payment.
So moved.
Support.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
I vote yes. Mathis?
Yes.
Kessler's absent. Reed?
Yes.
Gopal?
Yes.
Tucker?
Yes.
The rain is absent. Motion passes.
All right, public hearings, none. Reports. APM Mosquito Control Annual Report. You have this report in your packet, but because the audience, we have a lot of questions in regards to mosquito control. I'm just going to highlight a few things, and I'm going to read it out. The initial hatch of the spring mosquito spray was late this year because of the colder weather throughout the spring. Adult mosquito, when I say adults, meaning mosquitoes, become active approximately the first week of June. The first township-wide fogging application was May 24th, 2019, for the Memorial Weekend. A total of 1,348 miles, 272 residential barriers, 673 acres of standing water treated by ground, and 600 acres by air. The catch basins treatment completed on June 16th, total of 1,191 treated. Disease surveillances completed by August the 7th. They set up 20 CDC trap sets. They received 327 calls to the mosquito line through October the 1st, 116 for nuisance mosquitoes, and 184 for parties. The remaining calls were for standing water, staking, and general information. When we say that the parties, I don't know if all you residents know this, but you can call in. I think you have 2 calls, Tom,
Yes.
for mosquito spray. Extra calls, and you do not pay for them. If you're having a party, you call in, and we'll give you the number, and you call the mosquito people, and they'll come and spray your grounds. There was an outbreak of the EEE in Michigan this summer. To date, there has been 10 human cases with 4 fatalities, 32 animal cases, all fatal. This is a serious mosquito-borne disease which can lifetime effects on people infected with EEE. A deer on Glenwood Street in City of Fenton tested positive for EE. The DNR euthanized a deer on September the 9th. The mosquito company took action, setting a total of 12 CDC traps and doing barrier treatments in the affected area. Based on our prevention action, the Genesee County Health Department decided to opt out of the aerial spraying treatment. Now, we have got calls coming into the township, like if there's a dead deer on your property hit by a tree, hit by a car, maybe out in your backyard, maybe a dead raccoon, whatever. Now, if it's on the road, people think they should call the road commission. We are asking them to call the health department because there could be, the deer might have got hit, but it could be sick. And then the other thing that they told us about is we finished, they said they finished this year their mosquito protection control with $6,726.97 under budget this year. So they did really well. When they say that they have traps that are like ponds of water out in your backyard, small ponds, streams, whatever, and they come in and throw a certain type of little fish or something in these ponds, and the mosquitoes will get them, and well, no, the fish get the mosquitoes. So they do that quite often. When the ground was so wet, they'd come by and spray the driveway areas and that. They did not spray your backyard, so you might not have seen them, but they were out active as far as spraying. All right. Are there any committee reports to be made to the board? None? Okay, communications, none. Adoption of ordinances. Proposed zoning ordinance amendment. Wellhead Protection Zone. This is the first reading. In the audience, we have our zoning and planning administrator, Mike Deem, and I'm going to have him explain it to the people in regards to what this ordinance.
All right, so what you have before you is basically at the request of the city of Fenton. They have their city wells are in the city. However, the aquifers that feed those wells are in the township. What you have in front of you is an ordinance that would protect those aquifers. It creates an overlay zone based on a 10-year movement of the aquifer that would affect those wells. Essentially, there's a small portion of the township that's affected by this. And what the ordinance does is that it limits the uses that would be allowed in that overlay zone. So essentially, uses like auto maintenance, if you were to mine for whatever reason, which isn't really going to happen over there. Industrial uses that involve chemicals, those uses on their face would be prohibited. However, there is a mechanism in here for those types of uses to come in as a special land use in front of the Planning Commission if they're able to meet the intent and specifications of the ordinance. So essentially, there would be possibly one use that's existing out there that would be a legal non-conforming use. They'd be allowed to continue as they are. If they would want to expand, they'd have to come and get a special use permit to come into compliance with the ordinance. So essentially, this is just put into place to help protect the city's wellheads.
Fenton City Water.
Correct.
Is there any questions from the board? Is there any questions from the public to Mr. Deem in regards to the wellhead ordinance? None? All right, I'm going to have you stay there, though.
Yep.
This ordinance will be brought back to us on November the 4th for the Township Board for the second reading and to vote on the adoption of it, if we're going to adopt it or not. The next one Mr. Deem will do is proposed sign regulation ordinance. Again, this is the first reading. Mike, would you like to tell us about that?
So the township has received a couple of requests to look at the sign ordinance, especially focusing on billboards.
Billboards.
The types of billboards, location, etc. So what you have in front of you is based on the past couple months of research and effort by the Planning Commission. They've made a recommendation for adoption for some changes. It's both minor and major changes to the billboard regulations. The minor changes deal with setbacks in size of the billboards. Essentially, the existing billboards in the township are already legal non-conforming. They don't meet the size.
No.
They're all too big. What the ordinance does is that it follows the industry standards and standards that are in other communities in the area for the minimum sign standards for the size and setbacks. So this will be bringing the 8 existing billboards in the township into compliance.
How many did you say? 8?
There's 8.
8, okay.
The major changes would be essentially to allow electronic message signs for billboards. So currently we do not allow that. This would not allow every billboard in the township to become an electronic message sign. We have limitations based on setbacks and distance from other billboards in the township. We also have, we're also proposing that we place a cap on the total number of billboards in the township at 8. So the existing number that we have, we would not allow any additional billboards beyond that. If you want to put up an electronic message billboard, you would have to remove 2 billboards to put up 1 for a net reduction of 1. So it's not just that you have an existing billboard that you want to change over. You have to have the ability to remove an additional billboard to do that. We have restrictions in here on brightness. So one of the big concerns the Planning Commission had is at night to not have these glare bombs out on the road. To combat that, we are requiring sensors that measure the ambient light so that they are brighter during the day when they need to be, so you can actually see them with the sun. And then at night, they dim because you don't need as much light for them to be visible. We also have measurement distance for where you're supposed to measure the brightness so that they are conforming to the standards. We have malfunction requirements so that if for whatever reason part of the sign stops working, that the sign goes to black. And we also do not allow scrolling messages, blinking, or flashing signs, right? So it's an instantaneous change for the message. And then we follow the state regulations for 1 message change every 7 seconds. And the Planning Commission did a lot of research on this. You know, we had information from the Michigan Highway Advertising Act. We provided additional information from the American Planning Association on signs in general and billboards. That packet was 300 pages that the Planning Commission went through that had health, safety, welfare standards for them to look at how other communities across the country regulate these types of uses. And then we also had Denise Bartholomew from Alfront Media as an industry expert provide additional information during the process. So the recommendation that you have is based on a 4-1 vote. The dissenting vote I had concerns about the character of bringing in digital billboards and what that would have into the township. I think the remaining of the planning commissioners felt that the regulations in place would limit the number of digital billboards, and that they would be a benefit for the advertising community as presented.
Years ago, we did talk about these type of signs. I remember we restricted the color of red because of the brightness. Do you remember, John?
Yeah, what you're talking about, Bonnie, though, is business signs. What this is really talking about.
I thought this was billboards.
This is billboards, but what
Yeah.
you're remembering in
Was
terms of the color
business?
restriction is right now there are no digital signs, no digital billboards allowed in the township.
Okay, all right.
And, you know, restricting colors isn't really something that the township should be getting into, right? There's this, because once you start regulating colors, you're regulating the content of the billboards or signs in general. And from a free speech perspective, regulating the content could put the township in some issues.
What are the sizes that you're saying that we're going to allow?
So the maximum would be 672 square feet for the billboard.
Okay. All right, is there anything else? John, do you have anything?
I was not there when this vote
No,
happened, okay?
I know.
And I'm gonna tell you that it'd probably be 4-2 if I was there. I'm still formulating where I'm at on this, and I don't know who the party was that Mike was describing, but I have similar concerns about allowing digital billboards in the township. I don't wanna be a dinosaur, but by the same token, I've seen them around, I've been paying attention to them, and I don't, some wise person said to me that the quickest way to lose your rural feel is to put up a digital billboard, so I think there's some truth to that. You know, there's some other things. There was an incident recently on I-75 where somebody broke into one of these and put some pornography up on them.
Really?
Played for about a while, 5 minutes or so. So, I don't know. I'm still, I came into it with an open mind. I listened to a lot of stuff. Mike is right. There was a ton of work that went into this, a lot of research. But I've always had a visceral concern about it, and I'm still chewing on it. So I'm glad we don't have to vote on it tonight. I'd like everybody to be here to see what everybody's opinions are. But the minor modifications that Mike was talking about, and even the size stuff to bringing them into compliance, I think that's all pretty easy. The hard thing to swallow is whether you want to allow digital. I haven't even had the discussion with Jack, but if we were going to do it, I'd probably try and figure out a way to monetize it. License it yearly or 5 years or something, and if there's a fee that's attached to it, something along those lines. So.
Well, I'm happy with only 8. I think I go into so many different townships and cities, and the worst city that I've ever seen in my travels, or town, I should say, Tifton, Georgia. You go through Tifton, Georgia, and it is unbelievable. I mean, you see, like you said, no landscaping, nothing. So we'll be voting on this, but not tonight. But I really appreciate, because there was a lot of work that you're.
I travel all over the state. I mean, you said 600 in all over the country, actually, and internationally. You said 602 square feet.
672.
72.
So that's the
That's a big sign.
That's the existing size that all the existing
Yeah.
billboards in the township are.
I mean, I personally wouldn't want to be staring at a bunch of huge signs everywhere. I mean, man,
All
my
right.
sky lit up at nighttime and feel like I'm living in Flint.
If there's anybody else that would like to public comment?
before
in
one more
regard-
comment.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So based on the setback requirements that we have
Yeah.
from not just billboards, but from digital billboards, essentially, we would allow a maximum of 2 digital billboards in the township, 1 at each intersection. If you look at the ownership, it's more likely that you'd be limited to 1.
Do we have a contract then with these people that have these? None.
No. The private property owners do.
Private property owners,
Sure.
okay.
Yeah.
So we have 8 out of compliance, large signs right now. I mean,
Mike was-
how does that
Yeah.
happen?
They're par non-conforming. That
Yeah.
means they were in there before the regulation that limited the size went into effect. So you don't have any legal ability to make them remove them. What the proposal does do is, it has the potential for reducing the total number from 8 down to 6 if you were to allow 2 of them to be digital. Whether you want to make that trade is another question, but in terms of just sheer numbers of billboards, this proposal would have the possibility of reducing the number. Now, obviously, you get more messages on a digital billboard, so I'm not sure. I guess if you're driving by, you only see 1 or 2 of them.
I was gonna say,
Just personally, I travel all over the place, and, I mean, if you give the opportunity for that, you're gonna end up looking like a little Vegas strip mall, you know?
that's why we wanna do the ordinance.
Yeah.
To
I mean,
reg-
just some
we'd have to
advice.
regulate
I
it.
mean, not selling or whatever, but I'm all over the place, all over, and I see a lot of that.
Pen. Mhm.
Yeah.
Mike, is there anything else?
That's all I have.
Christine had
Christine.
Just a clarification, Mike,
Yep.
on so, and obviously this isn't the full language, you know, this is just your memo on the ordinance. But we say we're gonna limit it to 8, and then there's the change for electronic changeable message boards, so you'd have to remove 2 to put 1 in. So couldn't we end up with 4 of the,
4 of regular signs.
yeah, 4 of the electronic signs?
No, so in addition
Or is
just
there a
to,
separate cap in the ordinance on digital only?
there's not, but there's distance requirements that are essentially a separate cap.
Okay.
So the minimum distance between electronic messaging signs is 2,500 feet.
Okay.
And when you look at the zoning districts and the existing signs, there's essentially, if you put 1 at each intersection, that's it. So you can't have more than
Okay.
1 per intersection based on
Okay,
those
so
spacing
that's how
requirements.
that's capped.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Just being a historian, remember, we had a lot of flack from the neighbors when the new Lake Fenton High School put their sign in because of brightness during the night, and it distracted drivers either trying to or making potential turns there. So it was a concern.
And that was the color red that you were talking about on the
Well,
corner.
and there is a distinction too. These are located primarily
Right.
along the freeway now. So you don't have as much residential exposure. The locations where we have them aren't highly residential, but it isn't that you're not gonna see them from any residence. That's
No,
probably not true.
farmland and that,
But it's a
yes.
little bit different than what we're talking about with the high school.
Is there any questions, other questions from the board members then? All right, this ordinance will be brought back to you on November the 4th at our township board meeting, and it will be the second reading, and we will vote on the adoption. All right, proposed ordinance for township insurance and retirement plans. We have 5 ordinances, and I'm gonna put this to Operation Manager Tom Broker. Would you explain, are you gonna explain all 5 of them? at
Well,
once?
it's kind of in general, and we can, if there's any specific questions. Because of some changes to the various plans, the existing ordinances that authorize those plans just need to be updated to reflect those changes. So in the packet are 5 different ordinances, one for group healthcare insurance, life insurance, disability insurance, pension, and the deferred comp plans. The language for each ordinance is very similar. You'll see they're structured much the same, and they're modeled after the sample ordinance language provided by the Michigan Townships Association.
Again, any discussion from the board in regards to them? All right, this ordinance will be brought back to us on November the 4th, Township Board meeting for the second reading and the vote on the adoption. Unfinished business, none. New business, proposed levies and miscellaneous special assessments, 2019 property tax roll. Included in the packet are listings of special levies and miscellaneous special assessments for 2019 winter property tax roll. The mosquito control levy will remain at $20 again this year. The majority of the special assessments are for street lightings and private road maintenances. Each assessment is reviewed and adjusted each year based on actual and projected cost. You, in your list, you do have the list of the different ones when they were saying street lightings and maintenance. Tom, I remember you telling me, how many of these do we have? Could you tell me in regards to the lights?
I have to sit
Oh,
here
here, I
and
can count them. I can count them. One,
I
two.
think it's in the neighborhood of 70 or so.
Okay. And that's consumers' lights. And then special assessment is snow plowing and road maintenance on gravel roads and that. Any board discussion in regards to that? I need a motion to approve the 2019 special levies and miscellaneous special assessments as presented.
So moved.
Support.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mathis,
Yes.
Kessler is absent. I vote yes. Gopal.
Yes.
Pardon me. Tucker,
Yes.
Rain is absent. Reed,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay, proposed revision to the 2019 Fenton Township meeting schedule. At their October meeting, the Fenton Township Planning Commission requested that their next meeting be moved from November the 14th to November the 7th, as it appears as a quorum would not be able to attend on the 14th. A revised meeting schedule has been drafted for the board considering. John, were you at that meeting?
No.
No, you wasn't?
I
Okay.
got a feeling it must be a deer hunting issue.
I was gonna say, it'd have to be,
My
oh,
suspicion.
Mike?
I was at the meeting.
Okay.
So we had at least 3 members who were at the meeting say they couldn't make it, but
Couldn't
they were
make it
all
because
able
of
to make
the
the
quorum.
7th.
Yeah,
So we can guarantee we have a quorum on the 7th, not on the 14th. We have a
Okay.
public hearing that we needed to get going. So,
so you wanted on the 7th and not the 14th? And was it due to deer hunting? Probably?
no, it was various stuff.
I would have thought that.
It's a
Yeah,
cooperative
one planning
program.
commissioner's wife is having surgery, another is on vacation. It's just,
Okay. Any other board discussion? If not, a motion is to adopt the revised 2019 Fenton Township meeting schedule as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Yeah, Mark.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mark. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Gopal,
Yes.
Tucker,
Yes.
Rain is absent. Mathis.
Yes.
I vote yes. Reed,
Yes.
Kessler's absent. Motion passes.
Next thing is the proposed dog park sponsorship agreement, financial plus credit union. I'm going to give this to Tom Broker or Clerk Krug, and they can explain to you what this is. Which one of you
The-
gentlemen?
This is a offer that was made to us being the Thompson Road Regional Dog Park by Financial Plus to allow us to have some more benches that would be for them for use there. They also promised a work day by their employees plus $500 a year for use of doing whatever we need, be it mowing, plowing, and they have asked for an exclusive period of time where they're the only credit union.
Yeah.
And we wanted to make sure that, because their potential could be banks or other financial groups that want to come in, but they would have exclusivity for 4 years in exchange for this. And this here is a good move on the committee's understanding, because it will allow us to maintain the park without using community funds or tax dollars.
No.
The park
There's no
was
tax.
developed and expanded on contributions. Before somebody says something we have because of, we weren't sure on how well we would do with our fundraisers and our donations. The three communities, be Linden, Fenton, and Fenton Township, have pledged if we need it, they will give up to $2,000 a year for maintenance. So far, we have been able to run it on in-kind and donations. So this just allows them to come forward and donate. All in total, you're looking at about $5,000. When you look at the $500 a year, the benches are $2,000, so there's really about $6,000 plus whatever value you put on the work days their employees will put in.
Yes.
And based on that the committee is not a legal entity, it's a combined group of the three communities. And Fenton Township owns the property that the dog park is on. It was recommended that we as the board accept the agreement for the dog park.
Is there any board discussion in regards to this? I have something. My husband and I, the other day, I said to him, let's drive down to the dog park. I mean, I know what it looks like and that. I haven't taken my dog down there yet. It is fantastic. If you have a dog or two or three, you need to take them there. This group has volunteered and they worked really, really hard. And I can't believe the people that were there with their dogs. So I got out and I asked them, how do they like it? Because there's other dog parks in Genesee County. They raved about it. So if you get a chance, either go check it out, take your dog. We have the small, medium, and large dog kennels. And it's just not a flat field. The dogs are running down a hill. They're just having a ball. And these benches are important because the people do stay there. It's a social event. Children love it, absolutely love it. So I urge you to at least go by and look at it. Take your dog and see how it works. Any other board discussion?
We have a dog park committee member. Would you like to say anything?
I just hope you guys agree with it. We're having a big party, November 28th, I think it is, a birthday party. So we really want to get it moving so that their advertisement with the benches will be there, ready to go.
And what kind of party is it?
It's a birthday party.
A birthday party for
2
the park?
years, the park is.
2 years, and it's at the park.
Yes, yes. It's a large
Okay.
event and everything, so you can just come out and enjoy it.
That would be fun. You said what date?
I believe it's November 28th.
28th, at what time?
That's Thanksgiving.
No,
Oh, no, that's Thanksgiving, just kidding.
yeah. It's a Sunday before
Yeah, the
Thanksgiving.
24th, 1 to 5.
24th.
1 to 5,
Yeah,
all right.
Sunday.
You know, you should try to go out and see that. It's wonderful. All
Quick
right.
question for
Yeah, Mark?
Bob or John or Jack. As far as the termination clause, what is it? Is it a payback or is it just no more funds? Did you read that part?
There's no payback.
Okay, so once they donate it, if we end up terminating it, they just don't continue the
Yep.
500? Okay, very good, thank you.
And just for a little history, originally the dog park was gonna be built closer to Thompson Road. But someone better known as the supervisor went out and said we had to build it where it was because it was unkind to not have the dogs have a view.
Oh, I didn't. I did desire to put it back there, but now I'm gonna tell a secret. As we're putting fencing and mowing the grass and that, we see a large cement slab, or not a slab, a box. Like two of them, like a coffin. I mean, it had to be 8 feet, 9 feet tall, but it was the size of a coffin and was standing vertically. Mr. Crew got on a ladder, and what did it say? It was something, the man's name and the date.
A.G. Smith,
A.G.
1828.
So he's in the corner over there, we think. We're not sure. But we called the sheriff department and everything, and we asked him, what do we do with this? And he said, just leave it. Mow around it, whatever, but leave it. So if you go out there, check it out. It's in the southeast corner and it stands by itself. So,
And as Bonnie said, if you are a historian, if you go back into the late 1800s, early 1900s, a family whose last name was Smith owned all the property from Thompson Road to the Fenton city limits. And ironically, the gentleman who seems to be in tune, last name was Smith.
yeah. So we're just leaving him there. Anyway, I need a motion to adopt the dog park.
Got a gentleman.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
Question, can you define exclusivity, please?
What, would I define what?
Exclusivity, you're giving the credit union exclusivity, what does that mean?
They would be the only ones that are
I
a
understand
credit
that.
union.
Are they putting up a sign, or they just
No,
donating money?
The benches.
Okay,
The
that's
benches
fine.
will have
I just want
their
exclusivity.
Yeah.
company's name on them.
I think it's a great idea, by the way.
But residents can do that. You could do that. You know, I could do it.
We have, I think,
I
3 or
think it'd be
4
nice.
out there now. 2? So,
Yeah.
and ironically, each bench is made out of old milk bottles. So it's recycled plastic.
So, all right, any other discussion? All right, a motion is in order to adopt the dog park sponsorship agreement with Financial Plus Credit Union as presented.
Moved.
Support.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Kessler's absent, I vote yes. Reed?
Yes.
Lorraine is absent. Mathis?
Yes.
Tucker?
Yes.
Gopel?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Are there any other comments from the board members in regards to anything that's on your mind? All right, now I'm going to open it up to public comment, but before I do, I'm going to ask you that I'd like you to limit it to 3 minutes. Please come up here. 3 minutes is a long time to talk. Come up here, give your name, get that microphone so everybody can hear you. You're welcome to speak, and we'll take down, you know, your suggestions and that. Is there anyone that would like to public comment? Oh, and by the way, no temper shown in this meeting.
Not allowed.
I might be little, but I'm not gonna put up with it.
I'm Christina. I'm here today as a parent, AYSO board member, and adult league soccer player.
And your name?
Christina.
Christina.
I'm extremely saddened at the events of the last 5 months that have landed us here today in an effort to keep AYSO at Deer Run. Numerous meetings where SLRP took no notes whatsoever, and numerous meetings that we were not invited to. For the past 25 years, AYSO has successfully managed and improved Deer Run without, and I stress, without the help of you on this board. Deer Run was cleared, facilities were added, and as the years went on, equipment was improved and upgraded. We hosted several area tournaments that drew thousands into the Fenton community. We did this with the amazing help of our AYSO families, many of which are here today, who have dedicated thousands of hours, yes, thousands of hours. We cannot put a price tag on the hours these volunteers have spent on our field supporting Deer Run and AYSO. This board has found it necessary to enter into an agreement with SLRP to run and maintain Deer Run. Essentially, you have washed your hands of a community project that your residents helped to build and maintain. Did you do your homework on SLRP? SLRP lost their youth tackle football program this year due to free increases in fund allowances. These amazing families left SLRP and started their own league. They've been successful and no longer using 7-year-old equipment that had been repeatedly provided to them by SLRP. SLRP lost a competitive swim team due to increased fees. The team brought in well over $25,000 to SLRP through fees, yet had to fight to give the kids an end-of-the-season barbecue. SLRP has lost, yes, every single precinct in the most recent election. SLRP has a long history of failures to our youth and families in our community. I ask tonight that you look in a mirror and ask yourself, are you prepared to add AYSO and Deer Run to their running list of failures? By entering into agreement with them, you are doing just that. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Is there anyone else? Yes, John.
I've sat on Southern Lakes Board before I became a county commissioner for 6 years, and I can say this, that there are some statements there that might be true, but the fact that the swim program was lost because Southern Lakes Park and Rec
Just talk a little bit louder.
raised fees is not true. The superintendent at the time decided that it was best that Southern Lakes not operate a competitive swim program so Flint Falcons could come in who would pay more for that space. I will not say that Southern Lakes, I believe, is perfect as an entity altogether, but I will not sit back and say, let something be said that is not true about them. The tackle football program, I'd love to sit back and have a conversation with anyone who would like to talk about tackle football program with Fenton compared to SLPNR also. As far as the board, the county is the one entering into the agreement with SLPNR. It is not Fenton Township that is responsible for that. They are responsible for the fact that they do not want to continue to sublease it or lease it again from us to AYSO. So any decisions moving forward, if you would want to take them up with us at the county, we'd be more than happy to. Fenton Township, as far as this is concerned, just decided they did not want to continue this portion of it, and now it'll go from the county to Southern Lakes Parks and Rec. And as you know, the county cannot directly lease to AYSO. And I've had people say, well, why don't you write something specific up for that? Well, you're open Pandora's box then, because anyone else who wants to lease property or take property from the county, that could create a big problem later on. But I will be here afterwards if you'd like to talk to me. I would be glad to. I have a little insight into it, and I have quite a bit of insight to SLPNR also, and I'd be glad to talk to you about your concerns there because I understand them. Some of them I believe are justified, and I'll be here for any questions you have. Thank you.
Sean, before you go, I'm kind of the latecomer to this that's been going on for a while. I mean, I understand that there was a 25-year lease that's expiring. Is there any possibility that the county would consider selling this property to AYSO?
No.
Non-starter? Won't do it?
No, I'm down there fighting for more parks for us out here, because if you look at where the majority of the residents and growth is in our county, it's to the southern portion, and we have very minimal parks out here.
Yeah.
And that's part of the problem is lack of space. We all know, guess what, kids all get out of school at the same time. We all need the space at the same time. It's either nights or weekends for indoor facilities or outdoor. And I just, like I said, I don't think the support would be there
I'm
for that.
interested to know, because my observation is that, AYSO has, in their minds, taken ownership of this property over the last 25 years. And I get it, sweat, and all of that kind of thing, but it is property they don't own. And that's, to have the kind of control they want, that's probably what they need is property that they own. That's why I asked the question, but if it's a non-starter, then it's a non-starter.
I mean, don't get me wrong, we have a real budget deficit in our retiree health care, Mark. Oh,
I don't think they're loaded, Sean.
Okay,
I'm
I'm
not
just
sure,
throwing that out there.
I don't
just
think they're loaded.
But I really, in seriousness, I don't
Yeah.
see the board supporting that.
Just don't see it happening.
And I'm pushing, like I said, I'm pushing to develop more parks because,
Your
their answer is to
children
drive
can-
to the northern part of the county and go to
Yeah.
parks, and guess what? Our residents want to just step out their door within a few minutes and be at something they can enjoy and use. So, I really think that would kind of defeat the purpose of,
Sure.
what I'm pushing for down there.
Thank you.
All right.
Is there any other questions from the board members? All right, yes.
Okay. My name is Amy Converse, and Sean, that's wonderful that you'd like us to go to another place so that we can build another complex that we probably somehow get taken away from too. AYSO did build it, and yes, we did take ownership in it, and that is why Deer Run is probably the nicest soccer complex that there is in the area. AYSO has brought in revenue, as Christina stated, through tournaments. We have interplay where people come in weekly. Every organization that has had to deal with Southern Lakes has the same story. It's the backdoor meetings. It's the questionable funds, the issues with the executive director. And after 4 months, we're still sitting with no budget and no business plan. Southern Lakes has been given 2 tours to Deer Run explaining how to do it, how to run Deer Run. They've also even been given complete detailed of each month and what needs to be done. The financial information has been given from nationals and an estimated cost from AYSO. AYSO is not giving their budget to SPRR since 2 organizations we operate differently. We operate on volunteer work. They operate on paying people. Mr. Paris told the reporter that he never asked for a budget or gave us a proposal cost. I proved that to be wrong between emails and meetings. Where is the capital fund coming from? Why would I put in a capital fund? As you stated, we don't own it, so why would I pay for it? Southern Lakes wants to do all these remodels. Guess who they want to pay for it? The 3 soccer organizations that are going to be on the fields. There's been no confirm of any of us 3 that have confirmed that we are actually even going to take place at Deer Run after the fall season. Who pays for Deer Run then? Why would one of the organizations even take place and paying almost $40,000 when they pay less than $10,000 for outdoor fees in other places? AYSO has proposed a contract to Southern Lakes. They have never responded. Priority scheduling has been thrown around with no legal definition or in legal writing. Travel must have their schedule in before AYSO does, so how would that actually work? Meetings have been changed with Southern Lakes and has only been posted on their door and not on public information. As I've stated before, is why would we pay into a capital fund? Why are we going to pay a bunch of administration fees that we've never paid in 26 years? Also, it was brought up that they were going to put a toll booth in front of Deer Run and collect funds for when they enter into Deer Run, which Mr. Mueller informed me that is illegal, who is also on the Genesee Board of Commissions.
No.
Or,
Amy.
well, he's on something with
Yeah,
the
he's
committee.
not.
Yeah.
Mr. Shoemaker is.
Lastly, looking at the past millages, one might believe that Southern Lakes doesn't want any of the 3 of us on the fields so that they can build their own so they can build their own sports complex that they have tried to put in to millages last and past. So my question to you is I understand that AYSO doesn't own the property, but we have shown ownership to it. We have treated it. We've done everything we can. Fenton Township decided not to take on the lease, to sublease it to us. The only one problem that we had in all the years was one of the organizations that's going to be on the fields wanted to basically play a game for $25. They're not going to pay $40,000 that Southern Lakes wants to charge. So really, who wins? AYSO loses because nationals can find other fields, and AYSO now has to go and find other fields because now no one will be on the fields because no one's going to pay the cost. Every organization that has dealt with Southern Lakes has been told a fee, and then there has been added fees left and right. Every organization and documentation that I have gotten from other organizations and other things have told me the same story. They've known my story because they already lived it. This is absolutely ridiculous that we are taking kids and families that paid all this money to build a soccer complex. We have supplied $2 million worth of insurance to Deer Run the entire time that we've been there. And the other question is if AYSO leaves, we take everything with us, our equipment. Who's going to put out the capital to pay for a tractor, for a lawnmower, for goals and nets? Again, no one's even thought these questions out. The only answer that Mr. Paris could give me is, well, isn't AYSO going to donate it? I didn't bump my head last night. So why don't we think about the kids in this community and what their families have done for Deer Run, and leave them on Deer Run where they belong. And the contract that I did propose to Southern Lakes would give all three organizations their time on the fields. There would be no administration fees, and Southern Lakes would sublease to us, and there would be no other issues. It would work the same way that it has worked as many years have come.
When you said sublease, who were you saying?
Right now, we sublease with you guys.
They lease it from us.
Yeah, you lease it from us.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to do it, then Southern Lakes should do it. Because we belong at Deer Run, and we should not have to pay a bunch of fees to Southern Lakes to do absolutely nothing, because there's nothing that they can do. Plus, we have a maintenance guy that maintains those fields beautifully. And as cheap as he works for us and does things for free, why would anyone want to lose him? So I just ask you that you think about the kids, that you and the families, because these kids can't afford $300. I scholarship many kids. And now I have to spend my time finding new fields for these kids to play on so that it's affordable for their families when they have to leave the home that they've had for 26 years. And some of those kids are here tonight.
Question.
Oh, Amy, Mr. Krug would like to ask some questions.
Have you provided a detailed budget for 2018, 2019 to either the township or
Why would
Southern Lakes
I
Park?
propose one?
I didn't say a proposed one. Did you provide one?
No, I gave estimated costs for each and everything that Deer Run would need for it to be run.
So you refused to provide.
Our lawyers told us that we did not have to. And the other question to that is if I'm running on volunteers and you're running on paid employees.
I'm not going to debate you on that, but
There's no reason, because I've talked to several different people in accounting and different things, and they said there is no reason why you would need my budget.
Okay. Do all participants pay the same rate?
Yes, and we are one of the higher AYSOs.
Let me finish before you jump into the deep water. Every child is either paid for by a scholarship or the same amount of money. No
Yes.
children play for nothing.
Nope. The scholarships that I give with the coaches.
Do you charge the other groups that come in money to play on the field? That's
We
a
have
yes or no.
we have a partnership with Nationals.
Do you charge them? Do they give you financial benefits by having them play?
The only reason that they give me money is for
It's
the
a
partnership.
yes or no.
Then no, because they give me
don't
money
give
through
you
the
any money.
partnership. They give me money through the partnership.
Okay, we're dancing around. They do give you money.
They
Yes
give me
or
money
no?
through the partnership. I've answered your question now 3 times. We have a partnership. Nationals and AYSO has a partnership so that I was able to keep the cost down for AYSO players, because if I wanted to not have them.
How much money does the National give you through partnerships
$20,000.
a year?
Yep. And they break it into 2 different increments.
It doesn't matter how they break it.
And
there
they're not going to
any-
pay $40,000 either to be on the
Well,
fields, as Southern Lakes has proposed.
You have a very good recollection, because there are no numbers yet.
Well, that's
created
funny,
anywhere
because I
but-
sent you an email that stated as a pros, as,
One answer, ask a question, Bob, you answer it. Don't talk.
Where did you get this $300 a child?
if I look at how much that
No, where did you get it?
when we figured out the
Southern
numbers, it
Lakes
would
or
be
your numbers?
$300 a child.
Based on,
The fees that we would have to get charged by Southern Lakes and to completely run AYSO the way it's been run. Because I've also been told that the way that the administration fees work with Southern Lakes. So.
and who told you that?
Other organizations, and plus, if you look on the email that I sent you, it also says administration fees and capital fees.
From you, so, I can look up.
I have a question. Does the board have an answer to that? What Southern Lakes is going to charge?
No, because they haven't been able to get a reputable budget.
Hang on a second. Whatever Amy spends a year, doesn't Southern Lakes have to have a budget of what they're gonna have for field maintenance? They have to know their costs. Forget what they have to charge each kid. They have to have a budget for the whole year, right? Field maintenance, mowing, whatever it is. Does Southern Lakes have that? Have they provided that to the board?
No, because
Okay.
they haven't been able to get the numbers.
Why do they have to get it from
May I
Amy? If
address
you call
that?
a contractor and ask how much to mow your lawn, they'll give you a price. So it's the same thing. So they should know
Wait,
how much.
May I address this?
Yes, go ahead.
So as a member of the Township Board, I also sit on the Southern Lakes Parks and Recreation Board. I'm one of 2 Fenton Township representatives on that board. All of this discussion is completely premature, okay? And the reason for that is you're making assumptions of what Southern Lakes has decided to do. And I can tell you as a board member that sits on the Southern Lakes Board, we have a committee and an executive who is doing the research to put a proposal together, but I, as a board member, have not seen that proposal. So
He's then putting you not on emails.
I'm perplexed that people are purporting that they know these numbers when they're not,
I wasn't saying I reported.
they're not
I was asking
public.
if the board had the numbers.
I just think it's premature, and this board is not gonna make the decision.
Well,
The Fenton
we're
Township
here,
Board's not gonna make that
The
decision.
other AYSO members and stuff, and national members are here to ask this board to reconsider to sublease this back out, because they're the ones who can make that decision.
But-
We're not gonna get Southern Lakes to make that decision. I really doubt they're gonna sublease it, because even though they're a nonprofit, they still have paid people, paid employees
This
that they
is
have
true.
to look at and take care of first.
It's true.
What AYSO and the other national teams are doing, they're volunteers.
It's disheartening too, because as long as I've seen, and I had a child who grew up and graduated from Fenton High School as well, and was involved in some of the Southern Lakes programs, and I, as an adult, have partaked in some of their programs. I have not witnessed firsthand them not putting kids first. Sean could speak maybe more to this. He sat as the representative for, was it 6 years? So he was my predecessor, representative on that board. But I will take all of these, I will take all of these opinions into consideration. I appreciate you coming here and voicing your concerns. And when we see a proposal, I will ask all those things, but I'm just saying that it's early on. And please note that the Southern Lakes Parks and Recreation also has public hearings, so you're welcome to come and speak there as well, when it is on the agenda as a proposal.
Just to let you know that if there is not a contract with AYSO by November 1st, we will be leaving Deer Run. Because we cannot wait. We have gone 4 months, and to you not reading your emails, Vince did send an email out to Rick Miracle, Mike Gilmore, and myself proposing a contract. Whether you were on that email or not, I can send it to you. But there was a proposed contract that was already sent out. And I have sent it to several people that are sitting on this board tonight and to Sean Shoemaker. But I have waited 4 months, and I am in the same spot that I was in the day that I sat with Tom Broker and listened to him tell me that this was going to be a good transition. And you know what? It hasn't been a good transition yet.
So Amy, I think again, this is way premature.
Okay,
But
well,
Southern
I don't
Lakes,
think you
let me finish,
understand.
please.
November
Okay.
1st, we're done.
Southern Lakes does not currently lease that property. So they could not, at this point, legally enter into a sublease for something that they don't have a lease on.
The point is if there's not some form of contract by November,
Amy, don't do that.
AYSO will have to leave.
Well,
And I understand that that's okay for you. But why don't you tell these families who are the ones that that you're supposed to be working for?
That's okay for me. It is
No,
not okay for me.
I
to
watched you. I
target.
watched you on the Southern Lakes Board too, and you don't really seem to care. I'm just telling you that these are the people that are going to vote for you. These are the people that are going to vote your millages. And you're the ones that are showing that you don't. There's more work that could have been done in the last 4 months than there has been. It's just really sad.
You want to say anything else, or you'll set? No, okay. All right, is there anyone else? I know there's yes, sir. I need you to stand up there. And I do need other opinions.
Hi, my name's Rob Roney. You know, I was going to sit up here and talk about when I played the days of AYSO when I was 5 years old, but listening here tonight, I just have one question. If AYSO was to propose a budget to sublease Deer Run, would the Fenton Township Board look at that?
Would we look at it?
Yes. Since you lease it right now.
I'm not on that committee, so I'm going to ask the board members now. There's 2 of them that are not here. Tom, are you part of that?
No,
Or Bob?
myself, Mr. Gopel, and Mr. Kessler are the,
Well, it's the same question.
Township
They
board.
just want to know if we would lease it from the county and sublease it again, carry on. Same thing that they've asked before. He's just adding the proposal of adding the numbers to it.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
I don't know to give you an
We
answer.
certainly would look at anything that you would submit, but whether that would, whether the township doesn't want to be in the middle of this. And based on, I had a meeting last week that Vince was present at. He says Southern Lakes doesn't want to be in the middle of this. The county owns the land. You guys have taken at least mental ownership of it. You have no legal ownership of it. Trying to bridge that gap is creating a problem. Throwing a November 1st deadline is solving the problem. There won't be any resolution by November 1st, based on what Christine's has told us. So if you want to draw a line in the sand and say November 1st, we're out of here, we're all wasting on good oxygen, because I don't see how that could possibly happen.
One more quick question. I think I heard earlier, the next vote was it November 4th that you would be voting on? Is that wrong?
That's
Or maybe I
No,
heard
that-
something
other
else.
proposals.
On a different proposal.
our next board meeting
Is November the
November
4th. Yeah, but we have not put that, Rob, on the
This is
agenda.
just public. This isn't even an agenda item. This is just public
Yeah,
comment.
comment.
You know, we don't have any action to take. The 25 lease, the clock is ticking. We don't have control over that. That's the way it was set up at the beginning.
Our current lease is good through February of 2020.
The problem is we have to get all our stuff off before because they.
Our lease, not yours. And yours is the same. I take it as a threat for November 1st.
So February
When would
2020.
when would I get a thing? They closed the park in December. How would I get the trailers in there?
You're gonna do it before November 1st. You just told me.
We will be by November 15th, everything should be.
No,
open.
you said November 1st.
November 1st is when I tell the trailers that we have to have them there.
You
So
know,
it's not November 1st, it's November 15th.
all right,
Okay.
I do want to say something. I'm not on these boards, this board, the Parks Board or anything like that. I did get a lot of emails. I read them, pros and cons. I sit here, I see a lot of people that are great people, and it's for these little children that you're working for this. But when you come in front of me or any of the other boards, it is something that was made 25 years ago, an agreement. Times change. Like you said, Amy, it is for the children. We have to be adults, and we have to get with whatever group. My grandchildren also played soccer, And many times I would go and see the soccer fields were busy, but then there was other ones that weren't. Then I would get a call the next day from another soccer group and say, we were denied using of the fields because they said they were being used. I saw it myself. When this field started, I go back that far, I carried water by buckets to water the fields. And we had bucket brigades because we had no water. There was no water. Now, I sat in a meeting the other day in regards to this. They said sprinkler systems need repairs. Now, I'm not saying AYSO, LaFonza, or whatever.
The sprinkler systems were all just redone.
Hold on, Amy, hold on, please. Just please. I'm not going to fight with anybody because I am neutral right now. But I got to listen to what I want to listen to what you say. And the other group should come here also. But anyway, if there needs money on your sprinkler systems, I know you've worked hard. Everybody has. And thank God for you that you developed this thing. And it isn't that we don't want to lose anybody. We want all the parents to be part of this. But now the bathrooms, you know the bathrooms are no good. Southern Lakes will put in bathrooms. Wait a minute, handicap accessible. Do you see people in those fields that are handicapped and they can't use the outhouses, the porta potties?
Actually, the bathrooms are open to anybody that is handicapped. The only reason that we don't have the bathrooms open on a regular basis, which is something that was expressed to the Southern Lakes board members that came out to Deer Run during the first tour, was we have to have somebody watching the bathrooms at all times because they have been vandalized.
All right, well, that's.
And then also to the sprinkler system, we just paid $37,000 to have them all fixed with new wells because lightning struck.
All right, see, Amy, that's what they're saying. If you'd show us what you did or whatever,
I have told Mr. Paris this stuff. I have showed him all this stuff. He also told the contractor that I had out there for the sprinkler system that he was going to take out a loan and redo the entire sprinkler system. I'm just curious on, as a taxpayer, who's paying for this loan? The other thing is that the reason why they want the capital fund is so that they can pay for all these new bathrooms and the new roads and everything else, which is great, but Southern Lakes isn't going to pay $1 for it.
See, I don't know all that, Amy. I really don't. I'm trying to put it all together. And I'm hearing from you and Christine and Rob and this gentleman too. Bathrooms have to be handicap accessible and they have to be workable. We have restrooms in the lower level of this building. And for the beach, this is a public beach, almost like your public fields. We have not brought them up to standards. We can't, but we have porta potties. They're handicapped porta potties. Cost double the price, but we have to service the people that way. The grounds have to be kept. You've done a good job, but after 25 years, things depreciate and things change. And I'm not going to make a decision until I hear from more people. I'm hearing from the AYS people, my 2 granddaughters and many of our neighbors, and you know my granddaughters, they were in there and they were involved in it. I think there needs to be a change on the appearance of the building, bring it up to date. And if you've got people that will give you money to do it, why wouldn't you?
Because Southern Lakes isn't going to give us any money.
You don't know that, Amy. I will sit here and say that if I get Southern Lakes to come and say that they're going to improve those bathrooms.
And are they going to pay for it, not charge AYSO a capital fund?
They're not going to charge you. You don't own it.
Amy, I will send you the email tomorrow that tells me that they want to get an administration fee plus a capital fee.
Okay.
Why? I mean, if it was just a matter of I had to pay for fields,
she's okay. She's all right.
It's not a matter of paying for the field. It is the administration fees. I mean, they charge the football people $5,000 just to have some guy show up to a meeting each month.
All right, we got a thing here. Let me just read you a few things. And then I'm going to just adjourn the meeting because I don't know if we're going to make any head today. But hold on. And I will let you talk, the 3 of you. You didn't raise your hand and I thought nobody else was going to talk. Sean Shoemaker is right. It's county, it's not township. We, years ago, signed the paper to let you have the field. You know that. You know we don't want to control it. We want the people that can control it, and they're not going to shut you out. I wouldn't allow that. I personally would not allow it, and all the other soccer people that want to be in it. It is for the children, and you are great people, but you can't just say, I'm not going to let anybody else come in.
They also had a contract.
Who had a
There's
contract?
Contract that was given to Southern Lakes just not that long ago. I also gave a contract to La Forza, who you're bringing it up.
But right now, Amy, it's in the hands of the township, not the county. I think you all are fighting for the same thing. I really, really do. But it is a hard one to decide on which way to go. And I think if we really would maybe just have a committee of people who can talk to each other, not yell at each other, talk and make sense, and give what you want to do for the soccer fields. I think you can do it. I think you all can do
I
it.
think that the three soccer organizations can do it. The problem is that when you put Southern Lakes in it and you want to start charging people administration fee and capital.
All right, I have to find that out, and they have not given us any information, none.
Okay, I will send you the email tomorrow.
Who did you get the email from? Okay, I was at a meeting the other day, and stuff like this wasn't said.
Also told the reporter she never asked me for a budget.
All right, let me just read you a few things, because these were questions, and the board members have this too, that have been asked, and I'm going to give you the facts. And this is the true facts. If you don't want to believe me, you don't have to, but it is the true facts. Fenton Township owns the soccer complex. No. Genesee County Parks and Recreation own the property. Fenton Township wants to contract with Southern Lakes to run the soccer complex. The current 25-year license between Genesee County Parks and Recs and Fenton Township, and the 25-year sublease between the township and AYSO will expire on February the 20th. February 2020. The proposed approach would remove the township from the involvement, and the license agreement would be between Genesee County and Southern Lakes, not us, not us. All we did was say, they want food, they want land. We'll sign our name to it, and that's all this township did. That's all we did, because we wanted you to have it, and I was there. Fenton Township is taking the soccer complex away from AYSO. The proposed approach would have Southern Lakes managing the facility, including scheduling. Southern Lakes has committed that AYSO would have the priority to schedule. Now, that's what I was hearing, some of this stuff.
There's no legal definition for that.
Amy, you gotta listen to me. It's a paper. We are a township. We're not here to hurt you. We are here to help you. But if one person keeps saying no, 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 I can't help you. But this is absolutely the truth. Under AYSO management, under Southern Lakes management, the cost of AYSO participating would be much higher. This is what people are talking about. We cannot speak for Southern Lakes. However, they have indicated that they are still working on their budget. I sat at a meeting last week, and that was the truth. And sir, you can laugh, but it was the truth. Any cost information being circulated did not come from them. Southern Lakes wants to make a profit from running the soccer facility. This is what people are rumoring. Or it could be true too, but this is what we have found out. Like any other public entity, Southern Lakes is not in the business of making profits. They use their revenue, property tax, and program fees to provide recreational programs. All right, this is Genesee County could license a property directly to AYSO. No, Genesee County has made it clear that they will not license the property to a private organization. That's why they did it to us. Why won't the township simply enter into a new license and Genesee County and a new sub-license with AYSO? The only reason the township became involved 25 years ago was because it was the only way for AYSO to place and play. If Southern Lakes had been in existence in 1995, the township likely would have never been involved. Because Southern Lakes exists today, there's no reason for the township to be involved. And AYSO still has a place to play. So, to summarize it, this is what they're saying. Under the proposed approach, AYSO would still run the soccer programs at the Deerfield facility. They would no longer be responsible for maintaining the property or scheduling the fields. Southern Lakes has committed that AYSO will have priority scheduling for their league and tournament play. So see, I'm hearing one thing, I'm hearing the other here. I'll be honest with you, this is a difficult one, but you people can make this thing work, all of you, if you would do it for the kids. All right, this gentleman and then this lady, I'm gonna let you talk.
I just have a quick question on, with Christine being on the board here, and then you guys are talking about budget, and, you know, it's like, why would we give you the budget, and wouldn't she be conflict of interest?
No,
Because she's
no,
on the board here,
no.
on Southern Lakes?
There's so many different committees that all of us board members are on. And I appoint the different people to fill those positions. It's county. I mean, we have, give me some names, Tom, of some of the committees.
Well, we have,
So by law, we have to do it.
yeah, we have internal committees, but then as far as external, we have, Mr. Marco sits on the Metro Alliance.
Metro Alliance,
911. We have cemetery committees. We have many, many committees, and that's by law, and that comes to me, and the board members will decide which way they would like to go.
Well, I'm just saying, because you guys are asking for the budget, why would Amy provide that when it's totally different? Her budget is one thing with volunteers, like you mentioned, and then Southern Lakes has all this administration fees. Totally different budget. And all I see is dollars. It's gonna cost families over, I think it's 700 to 800 families that are in the AYSO program. That's gonna cost additional. I was a scoutmaster in Fenton schools, and I had to pay for rooms, had to go through Southern Lakes. I totally
Oh, I know.
to this day, and everyone questions, what are my tax dollars going to? When I have to continuously pay out a nonprofit organization to Southern
You can
Lakes,
tell him that.
who takes my money? So I'm questioning, why do I have to continuously reserve rooms? I was talking to a teacher.
Now, see, sir, I don't know. I wish we could,
Wait, 1 minute.
yeah.
I'm talking just
Oh,
1 minute.
okay.
I talked to a teacher that is a teacher in the AGS schools, and she said that Southern Lakes was in their schools, she's a teacher, has to reserve the cafeteria to talk about outings, has to, and then Southern Lakes uses their facilities, breaks their equipment, and then publicizes that they bought all this new equipment. They didn't buy new equipment. They bought the equipment because they broke the equipment. Yeah, they bought new equipment out of their own pockets because they broke AGS's equipment. So teachers are saying this. So why do I continuously hear Southern Lakes being negative, negative, negative all the time, and now we want to give them something else?
I
My
understand.
buddy just, like football was brought up, old equipment, why?
All right, Mr. Shoemaker can answer that. And then, sir, I'll let you after this lady, okay?
Okay, to be clear to answer the question as far as
Tom, talk just a little
I'm
louder.
sorry. To be clear to answer the questions on Fenton schools, Southern Lakes only does the scheduling. Southern Lakes does the scheduling for Fenton schools. Lake Fenton and Linden have decided not to allow, or they don't want that. They want themselves to schedule the field. Southern Lakes does not receive a benefit for this other than, guess what, they can schedule the space for themselves when it's not there. When I was there, I tried to stop this practice because it was giving us a black eye at Southern Lakes. We look bad because guess what? If you're hosting, let's say you schedule an event and all of a sudden the wrestling team makes it to regionals, guess what? Your event gets canceled. You know who calls you to cancel your event at the time? Southern Lakes was the one to call you, even though Fenton Schools has first priority for that space. I'm not saying Southern Lakes is not without its flaws, so please don't tell me, get me wrong. I've got a bag full of them. I'd also say yes, I think they could do a ton of things better. But I'm just trying to clarify the facts as far as what's happening with the school. As far as football, I'll be glad to sit with you afterwards. I sit on Lake Fenton's youth football board, and I sit on that same Metro League also. And as far as the equipment with Fenton football, everyone needs to understand, it wasn't Fenton football to begin with. Southern Lakes started that program and called it Fenton Youth Football from there. So there's truth in everything and a little misconception. I'd also like to make clear, Amy, I would love to see you guys there. I don't know if those words came out of my mouth. I don't think they did. I'm pretty clear they didn't. My kids have participated in that program when they were younger. I love the fields. I love what everyone has done. We need to stop throwing daggers at each other and stand up and do what is best for our community. And I'm sorry, as a member who sat on this board for years, I can say this, and I get this a lot down at the county also. These are human beings also. So is Vince over at Southern Lakes, whether you agree with him or not, or the rest of the board over there. But when you come in insulting people, just like you're passionate, they're passionate. That's why they've run for this. That's why they do that. That's why they're involved. And what we've gotten to the place in this country that if you don't agree with me, you're my enemy. And we've got to get away from that because we're better than that. We have such a wonderful community down here in the southern part of the county. We have volunteers that come out for so many things, and it's so wonderful what's happened. But the frustration I see is because everyone's passionate. What we need to do is sit down, slow down, and get some communication out there. Unfortunately, with government, I will tell you one thing that's a frustrating thing, and we saw it here, and I can tell you at the county it's even worse, and at the state it's even worse. It moves slow. It does. I'm sorry, because guess what? If you don't dot every I and cross every T, guess what? It comes back and haunts you. And I wish this would have been taken care of earlier or sooner or whatever else like that. And like I said, I'll be glad to sit and stay after. If you want to contact me, let's sit down and try to talk about it. But I just hate seeing people vilified for a position when if we work together and we get on common ground, we can achieve the goal of keeping these kids on this field.
Sean, this gentleman had a question for you, right?
I was just going to say, I coach soccer and have for a few years, don't need a lot of time. But I also have a son that's on a basketball team, a Fenton team. Guess where they practice? Linden. Because they couldn't get into school here. I think there's a problem if that's going on. I mean you got an all Fenton team, dude, and they're not practicing in their own school. They're over at Linden. Something's wrong.
But you got to understand, the school gets first priority of that space.
We were told we couldn't go in there.
Once again, the school is first priority of that space. Southern Lakes handles the scheduling program, and
You're telling me I'm paying taxes for my kids?
I don't sit in Fenton school. I don't sit in Fenton school board.
So
Okay.
my kids going over to Fenton to play basketball?
But sir, Mr. Shoemaker did say it is the school. It is the school.
I don't
They
sit on the
have
school
priority.
board. My kids play at Lake Fenton, and guess what? We're using gym space.
They contacted the same organization you're talking about.
If there's no space available, there's no, the problem we have, once again, I said it a minute ago. We all need the space at the same time. We all need it when the kids are done with school. We all need it on weekends.
They were never
There's
told
limited.
there was no space available.
They were just told no.
They were just told no, or they can pay a lot of money. So you know what? They were able to go to the Linden and they can get a gym.
Do you understand that when Southern Lakes was originally founded, the schools were going to provide the facility and the space at no fee, and the Southern Lakes was going to provide the programming. Do you know that? Do you think that still takes place now?
I don't think it takes place.
No, because the school charges an actual, I forget what they call it, a usage fee or another fee. So I trust me, we pay, when I was there, every program.
We left Fenton schools and we're over in Linden.
All right, gentlemen, I'm going to have to stop you on this
Yeah,
one
I just-
because it's not pertaining to this.
The point I'm trying to make,
There's
is broke if we're paying taxes.
a young,
Okay? And my kid can't even use the facility.
all right, sir.
I
sir.
would agree with all the
Ma'am,
schools.
you
It's
have
a big issue at all the
question.
schools.
We have another lady talking and then this gentleman. Go ahead.
Supervisor, my comment does not involve soccer, so if you would like to.
Oh, it's not about soccer?
Not soccer.
It's public comment.
Oh, it's public comment. Go ahead, go ahead. You got right in the middle of it.
Breaking the action. Well, I don't know if this will be much better.
And then,
Good evening.
sir, you'll be next, the other gentleman back there.
Denise
ahead.
Bartholomew. I am with Outfront Media, and I'm speaking regarding the sign ordinance on the
Oh.
agenda tonight. The proposed
That's why I
amendment.
recognize you.
Yes. I am with Outfront Media. We own 6 of the 8 existing billboards in Fenton Township. I will be very brief since obviously soccer is the main event of this discussion tonight. I will say that Mike's recap of the proposed ordinance amendment was a very brief summary of months and months of open dialogue, conversation, question and answer with the Planning Commission. When we first started this dialogue, several of the Planning Commission members had the same questions, concerns that we heard briefly tonight. And over the course of several months, we worked through those. We went line by line, sign by sign, property by property, to fully understand the existing landscape of what that looks like in Fenton, understand what the community did not want, understand what the industry did not want, and mesh that into language that effectively regulates our industry and yet still allows for responsible growth through digital signage. It was a long process and a very detailed process. By all means, I am more than happy to shed any light on any questions that anyone has. I will be available after the meeting. I'll have cards available if someone would like to give me a call, shoot me an email. And in addition, I welcome you to reach out to any of the Planning Commission members. They were there for those discussions. At the end of the day, whatever the board decides, I want it to be based on fact and full information, all questions answered, all concerns addressed, to make an informed decision. So if there's any point in the process between now and the next meeting that I can assist with that, I'm open to do it. At the end of the day, I want it to be the vote to take place based on, yes, this is the outcome, I understand it, no, this is not the outcome, I understand it, and have all of that hammered through so that there's no questions of what if when the decision's made. So thank you again for considering it. I will leave the meeting back to the soccer folks. Thank you.
Thank you. There's a gentleman right here at them. Thank you so much. I'm sorry, I didn't realize, I recognize you now, I should have asked you. Yes, sir.
So I get, what, 25 minutes?
No.
David Witter. I'm the area director for AYSO Soccer in Greater Genesee County area. We've got 13 regions, including the Fenton region.
I gotta have you talk a little louder.
We've got 13 soccer regions, including the Fenton region. I could go on and on about how great the Fenton region is and has been. 4 years ago, the Fenton region, I'm not going to do that though. 4 years ago, the Fenton region was Region of the Year from the national program. Of 800 to 900 regions, they were the Region of the Year. Our commissioners are volunteers, and they're all passionate. Maybe not as passionate as Amy. Maybe she's a little bit of a mama bear trying to protect her cubs. But she's a passionate person whose interest is this program and continue it for the kids. I talked to Mr. Paris several weeks ago, and I had a couple of questions. First question was, why can't we continue to have a contract and with the county or with the township board? He indicated that he was doing research because the township board was thinking they didn't want to be having another contract with us. He also indicated that the county Parks Commission has a policy or it's a law that they can't do that. So I asked him for a letter or a copy of something that indicated that it's against the law or it's against policy that's been set in charter or something, that a contract can't be held between AYSO and the Genesee County Park Association. By the way, that property was donated in 1986 by the Mueller family to the Genesee County Parks and to the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. So I'm not really sure who we deal with. Is it DNR or is the County Parks Commission? Okay, County Parks. So that was my question, and that question hasn't been answered yet. Is it a policy? Is it a law? Mr. Commissioner? Okay.
Policy.
Okay. Maybe you can also help out my wife, who's a retiree. So our national office, in fact, our national legal commission instructed me not to provide a copy of our budget. We could give budget information, but not to provide. It's not a decision Amy made, it's not a decision I made, it's a decision that was made at the national level. There was one other thing I wanted to say, but I think I ran out. Well, what we want is to continue to operate the facility with volunteers. A question was asked, where did the amount of money? Amy threw out a number of 300. After reviewing Southern Lakes and their budgets over the past several years, the fact that they have approximately 420,000 costs just to operate their board, about a $1.2 million budget, with money coming from several sources. My guesstimate is that our costs for registration fees per player would go from 120 or to 140 to over $300, because the proposal is that they will manage and maintain the program, and they're going to manage and maintain the program almost exclusively with paid individuals and contractors. That's where the numbers came from. Thank you for the 2 or 3 minutes.
Thank you, sir. Yes. And then, honey, I'll let you speak after that.
All right, I just came here to say my 2 cents, so I got to get it in. I'm Matt Sherrill. I own the Fenton Winery and Brewery down the street. I also sponsored one of the benches, by the way, one of the twos, one of ours.
Sponsor what?
One of the benches at the Township Park is one of mine.
You're one of the 2.
Yep, one of the 2, so I just point that out. But that's not why I'm here. I'm actually here for soccer. I am a 30-year soccer player. I coached AYSO for 8 years. I'm now the varsity head coach for the boys soccer program at Holly High School. Very much into soccer. It's the one passion I have outside of running my business is soccer and family. And obviously there's a lot of passion here. It got pretty tense, but I'm not here to point fingers. I just kind of got brought into this. I saw the Facebook post last week, and I said I had to get involved. And I'm not here to point fingers. I know there's a lot of people saying different things, but obviously there's a lot of passion for AYSO. And as I'm glad that some people from the board are here, both up there, out here, and with any dealings you have with Southern Lakes moving forward, if that's the way it goes, if the township no longer wants to run it, understand that this is an incredible asset that you have. I did not coach at those fields, but I spent many hours at those fields as my teams travel there. I've been to a lot of AYSO fields, been to a lot of fields and they are some of the best fields anywhere, bar none. Sure, it's got some issues, maybe some issues with bathrooms, but for the players, they don't remember that. They remember the fields, and those are some great fields, and it's volunteer work that got those fields to that point. And I don't want, and it's hundreds of families that visit these fields every weekend, and I don't want to see people lose that ability. So any dealings we have with Southern Lakes moving forward, it sounds to me like everybody needs to get in the same room at the same time together with all the crap behind them, and just, okay, this is where we're at, this is what we need to do. When I run my business, I don't like dealing with this stuff. It's where are we at? How can we move forward positively? Forget about all the backbiting behind it. Leave all that behind us. What do we want? How can we get there in the best way that works the best for everybody involved? Because there are hundreds of kids, and a lot of them, the entire team that I coach right now, all varsity at Holly High School, every single one of them that went through AYSO. Not a single one. A few of them now have joined some travel teams, but they all came up through AYSO. My entire JV team, AYSO. Every player there is AYSO, and it's the same way with a lot of the other programs. I just speak for Holly because I know those boys. It is extremely important, and the cost is extremely important too. I still have players on my varsity team that I cover costs for, just out of my own pocket, because they don't have the money to do it. And the only thing that got them that far was AYSO. They can't play nationals. They can't play La Forza or anything else. They needed something low cost. And nowadays, kids, so many kids are out there. It's a low cost sport to get into. Let's not wreck that. All right, so I don't know the correct way forward. I just want to say, you know, speaking to people that are on the board with Southern Lakes, the township, any dealings we have, just keep that in mind. That it truly is an incredible asset that we have, or that the township has, and a lot of work has gotten us to that point. So I'd hate to see it, you know, go sideways and just end up costing players where they can't play. So what else are they're going to sit at home? You know, too many kids sit at home. So let's give them a place to play a competitive sport, because you learn so many things from that. Beyond, okay, you learn how to play the game, but there's so much more leadership, how to deal with adversity. There's so many things you can learn about life just from playing the sport. So let's keep that in mind. Let's keep level heads, you know, under control and move forward from that. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, now, this young lady, and then this gentleman, and that gentleman, and then I'm going to close the meeting down. Is that okay? Oh, and then you. Go ahead, honey. I promised her first. Okay.
Hi, I'm Kayla Converse. I apologize for my mother's behavior.
No, you don't have to apologize.
I used to play for AYSO, but then I aged out, and the fields are very beautiful, but the buildings are very out of date and they're very gross. So if you guys can agree and pay for like maintenance and stuff, that'd be great.
Happy. Yeah.
I think it's a wonderful program. I learned a lot, and I just hope we can keep it at Deer Run.
Thank you, honey. Your mom should be proud of you. All right. Yeah, go ahead. Okay.
How you doing? My name's Les Hathon. I'm actually a kids pastor over at the Freedom Center Church, and I've lived in Fenton Township since 2004. Moved out here with my family from Burton, Kentucky, and we love it here. I don't like the sewage fees, but that's another thing. We love our community, and you guys have done a great job, and I could not be happier. Our kids all graduated through Lake Fenton schools. I've had one just graduate at U of M, and to get to the point, we moved out here because the community here is different than Burton, where we came from. And the AYSO program is one of the programs we jumped into. And the pivotal point, I guess I want to drill home, is affordability for families. Like it or not, there's a lot of families that get meals paid for in Fenton, Linden. Our community, it's some are thriving and some are not quite. And the beauty of this program is it allows children and families to participate in a sport where they're not in front of a television, and it makes it affordable for families to get their kids involved. And that's really the thing that I think we in 5 years' time can forget about when you know, if fees increase where an AYSO program is $250, $300, we don't know, right? We just don't know. But we do know with administration costs and improvements, the money's got to come from somewhere. They have done the commissioning, the teams. Like I said, 15 years I've been in this program. I even coach soccer. I don't even like soccer. I got involved to play soccer because my kid wanted to play soccer. I'm like, well, stinking, I'm going to learn this game. I got the book and I learned how to do this program just because I love my kids. And I'm going to do whatever I can do to be with my kids. I respect you, though. You play soccer. You look like you do great at it, too. But I love my kids and I love my family, and I'm going to learn soccer because I'm that kind of dad. You know what I'm saying? And I'm thinking all those families out there that would love to put their kids in a program, and it hurts my heart mostly to see those fees increase because of administration costs. I understand administration costs, but what they've done over the years I've lived or been part of those fields, they have done nothing but improve over the years, and they're the best I've ever seen them. And if it's not broke, don't fix it. And I understand the predicament you guys are in, but I mean, they do a fantastic job. And all the fields we've visited to, The cleanliness of the fields, the upkeep of the fields, it's been fantastic. It's hard to pick it apart, you know? That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, who else was? The gentleman in the red hat, you, sir. And then there's a gentleman behind you, and then I'm going to say good evening. Is your little girl in soccer?
She is in soccer. I coach. Although we're 1 in 13. Don't hold that against me. I'd be fired.
Oh, man.
I'd be fired in the NFL.
Or you can play for the Lions.
Hey, you requested that team.
I'm sorry, go
Oh,
ahead.
not a problem at all. My name's Tom Wiltrot. I am the Assistant Section Director for AYSO. I'm in charge of Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky. Been in the business, been with AYSO for over 30 years now. I want to put some things in perspective, and I'm going to try to help explain Amy a little bit. Understand that we register kids for a year. We're halfway through that year. She's already worried about in the spring season for us, spring, summer season. There was a comment made that we have time, it's a bit premature. It's not. We're planning a year or a year and a half in advance. So to sit and wait on budgets and wait on meetings isn't working. She's got to figure out what she's going to do with 400 or 500 kids comes April. What do I do? Where do I play them? Where do I move equipment? How do I get referees there? How do I get equipment there? So thinking that there's time, there isn't. The agreement to get everybody together is wonderful. But if you're going to sit and argue, it doesn't do me any good. So, I mean, the bottom line, guys, is we got to get together, and we got to do it soon, and sitting and waiting around and playing games with budgets isn't working. We're asking for help. I'm more than willing to help. I'm retired now. I can come down and help with anything. I've been to the complex hundreds of times. I spent weeks and days there on my own, okay, for tournaments. I'll do it again. So please, we don't have the time. Amy's got to figure out what to do with all those kids come spring, come April. You know, do I hate to have threats on the table? I do. But she's got to do something with that equipment. Do we leave it there? Are we going to have contracts in place? Is there any hope of that? Right now, there isn't.
May I ask you a question, though?
Yes, ma'am.
When you said you had them, because I'm not knowledgeable to this.
That's why I'm here.
When you have to, winter's coming, what do you do with the equipment? Do you put them in the
I can't speak. I can't speak for Linden and Fenton. I can tell you what Flushing does.
Right now, I have a storage unit for them.
You have a storage unit. So when I used to drive by and the nets, some of the nets.
I can't leave it there because our lease is up in February, and like I've stated before, they're closing the fields in December, so I have to have everything gone.
Okay.
But under normal circumstances, the posts themselves remain.
They
But
rem-
then volunteers will come in on the nets and whatnot to help,
Okay.
sustain the light.
Anything that would wear in the winter, we would take down.
Yeah, okay.
But otherwise, normally you'd leave the posts down, or maybe you move them. I know we move some of ours just so the grass isn't so dead.
Okay.
Can I ask you another question?
Yes, sir.
Of all the fields that you are involved with, and it sounds like there's a lot of them that you have oversight of, how unusual is this situation as far as the ownership of the property goes?
It's not as unusual as you would think, but it's unusual from the fact that the county owns it, subleasing to you guys, now subleasing to AYSO, but it sounds like with this new stuff going on, there's going to be a person put in between, so you're going to have, was it SLR? In between them, so you've got another level of management there. There's concerns, when you put more levels of management in, and administration in there, there's going to be administrative fees.
Well, what you're doing is swapping out a level. We're stuck here only because we had to be
I understand.
here. And we're trying to put an outfit that's supposed to be doing this sort of thing in the position that we were in. I mean,
and that may
right,
be true.
Right or wrong.
I can't disagree because I don't know it as well as, I'm coming in kind of cold here.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm trading somebody that's giving me $1 lease versus
right.
more than that.
You know what though?
Well, yeah, and that's what I'm trying to get. Is that, do you own any of the fields? Do nonprofits affiliated with you own fields?
That's the thing, is back, gosh, David's been, about 10 years ago, we couldn't own property. And since then, it's changed. So yeah, we could buy it if you can afford it.
If you can afford it.
And some people do. some of the municipalities down in the Detroit area are paying exorbitant amounts of fees to lease fields. Yeah, and then
That's what I was gonna say, I coached in Grand Blanc too. I was curious how those were set up and how is Flushing set up? Because
Flushing's part of the schools.
Oh, it is, the schools own it?
Schools own it.
Seeing that, yeah.
We use them, but we have to pay a fee to them, but I can back some of that off because of field improvements. For every dollar I spend, they take $1 off my bill.
Okay.
So we seed them, we put in the drainage systems, we put in the sprinklers, we put in the lights, we put in the concession stand.
I was just out there, the concession stand was pretty nice.
All right,
Thank
thank you
you.
very much. Do you have a card, or can you give, seriously?
No, but I'll give you any information you want.
Before you leave, I need name,
Absolutely.
phone number, contact, okay,
Absolutely.
email, whatever.
Yes, ma'am.
The gentleman in the back row.
My name is Steve DeFina. I moved out this area 15 years ago. My kids were first graders, so I signed them up for Southern Lakes Parks and Rec soccer. Coach gets paid. Coach never showed up. Coach used high school volunteers to run the program. Worst money ever spent. I signed my kid up. We bailed out of the program after a year. We signed him up to AYSO. And great program off the bat. Coach says I gotta do some training, I gotta do some stuff. Coach says my work schedule doesn't work. I hate to do this to you, but if somebody doesn't sign up, I gotta dissolve it. We gotta take the kids who've been practicing together for 2 weeks, I gotta split them up. I played soccer in high school, but I figured I'll raise my hand. Another guy says, I'll help you out. I said, I appreciate it. We had the worst team that season, but the kids all enjoyed it. I coached for 6 years. I coached 2 teams at a time. I had to find churches to go practice at because we don't practice on the fields. We didn't want to ruin them. But we were all volunteers. My kids outgrew the program, but I go to cross country now. I still see kids that were in the program. They recognize me, say, hey coach, I haven't been your coach in years. But we all did it. We didn't do it for a paycheck. I didn't get paid. If anything, I put my money into the kids. I bought snacks, we gave them things. We didn't do it for a paycheck. Southern Lakes, that's for a paycheck. AYSO was volunteers. So if you want to ruin it for the kids, that's the thing. If anything, let the kids play until the season's over in June. And then decide it. You got the summer to decide it. But don't tell the kids now, hey, we don't know what's going on, we're going to have to bag it up. Let them finish out their season. Let them have their tournament at the end. Let them enjoy their season. Like the Bad News Bears.
Thank you. All right.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, I'm going to put
This
it
is
to the board.
whoever can answer. Bonnie, you mentioned earlier that you went through the field at one time and they stated that the fields were full, but you saw some empty fields.
Yeah. and
Okay, if.
Hold on.
Yes, go ahead.
I can answer this question, but continue.
Well, thank you.
It's like Jeopardy, she rang in early.
If there's another non-AYSO, because it is a county park, if there's another non-AYSO team that would like to use a field for a game or a tournament, how do you, do you allow other teams to come in at a cost?
I think it's a scheduling priority, but a lot of times if you do see an empty field, it's not because we don't want folks to use those fields.
Okay,
But those
that's
those
part of
fields
it.
are rotated around to
Okay.
preserve the life of them.
Okay.
So if you
Okay.
see an empty field over
Okay.
here, it may be, a different
Mhm.
age group, they're now split up into 2 fields and this one's now getting a break. And then in 4 weeks, now we're gonna rotate things around a little bit more, just because,
Mhm.
the way that the ground is, especially in the spring,
Mhm.
it's oversaturated, so sometimes the fields just need a little bit of a rest
Sure.
so that they can stay in the good conditions that they are.
How many times in the last, say, 5 years have you had other organizations use those fields?
Outside of our.
AYSO.
So the travel program that is
That's the
associated with
national.
AYSO, which is basically like a feeder program.
Okay.
They utilize those fields as well. So when a lot of people are saying that their kids are aging out, or maybe they're ready to go to that next level, because AYSO is considered instructional and rec.
Yep.
But if your child is in a position to, take it up to the next level, then Nationals is the program a lot of,
So Nationals is the next step, but it's an AYSO organization or affiliated.
That's who we partner with.
So is there any non-affiliated teams that have ever used that field?
To answer your question, we did give LaForza a contract 3 years ago when we sat here in front of you.
Okay.
And Mike Gilmore told me that the price was not in his budget.
Can I ask what the price was?
$25. He wants to play a game for 20, and this was stated during a meeting, back to our meeting with Vince, that he would like to pay $25 per game to use the fields. First of all, he does use, as you know, he uses the Fenton fields, which he pays less than $6,000 to use all of the Fenton fields. But the difference is the taxpayers pay the difference. I can't even put paint on a field for $25.
Okay.
So that is why I could not make it. The reason why he also did not like my contract with him is because when he was at the church, there was some damages done to the church. So I asked for a security deposit, and he didn't feel that he should have to pay a security deposit. But with having conversations and seeing it personally handed, because I almost broke my ankle at the church, I and the board decided that we would do a security deposit. He would have obviously gotten it back if there was no damages done. I will tell you that our maintenance guy takes our deer run like he takes his front yard. Everything is precise. Okay? April is correct on the fact with the fields. I have also told Lake Fenton wanted to have a lacrosse program, but due to the fact LaForza was there, they would not have room. I did inform lacrosse that we could meet their requirements 2 days a week. We could not do all 4 that they had asked for. I told them that we would make it their own personal field all the way in the back, but it ended up being that they all went to Swartz Creek due to the fact that Lake Fenton could not give them any fields. I've also had runs go through the park. I've also dealt with churches that have used the park for parking during Easter times and other celebrations. Any person that's ever called me, I have always tried to make sure that we could. I had a company from Chicago call for a lacrosse tournament that would be during the time that we would not be using the fields, and due to the field dimensions, we could not fit their requirements, and she's the one that told me that I couldn't meet her field requirements, so we were unable to do it. There has been no one that has been turned down. LaForza was promised field time. I have even stated in my new proposal to Southern Lakes, which has not been answered because they all received a booklet on it, is that LaForza would have time on the field the way that they want it, with the amount of money that they want to spend. Nationals would have the same agreement, and AYSO would have the same agreement. The only thing that we were taking out of that is that 3 organizations did not want to have to pay capital funding, and we don't want to have to pay administration fees, and that AYSO would still maintain the fields as we do now, since the price that Larry charges is absolutely amazing for anybody that would have to pay for fields. Plus, he also donates his own personal money, and plus he also actually helps teach the kids how to maintain the fields himself for the volunteers that need to come in there. So he does a lot of work for us, and he's an amazing guy. He only wants to work for me because he knows that my first priority is the kids and the passion for deer run. So that is why he will work for me, and if we move somewhere else, he will come with us. But I have never not allowed anyone to get on the field. My only ever objection has ever been, no one can be on the fields for free. That is why National pays us a fee, and then LaForza was offered. When they do do the runs, and they're just going through the driveway, we did not charge them because there was no use on the fields. The only time we've ever complained with the fields is when we had the golf ball, when the people were trying to play golf on the fields, and when Larry was mowing the lawn, he kept hitting him in the head, and he doesn't need to be hit in the head any more times. So we had that. But other than that, we have never asked the township for anything else, and we do allow handicapped people to use bathrooms, and if this whole thing is kind
We
that
do.
too. But the other thing is that there's a lot of information that we have given Southern Lakes already, which by now we should have had a plan and we should have had this in place. In June, I would have thought by August, and I let everyone know that by August, before I went back to work, that I needed this to be settled. I mean, if anybody wants to settle with anybody, it's me. I got a master's program, I got 3 children, and I'm trying to run AYSO and plus take 2 kids to travel games and everything else. I don't need another headache on my head. I just wanted this fixed. I want the kids to be able to play a deer run. I wanted us all, I even told Southern Lakes in their second meeting that we had, and Christina as my witness, and I will get other people to testify to this, that at that second meeting, Pat, when we left there, Pat and Vince were both, that Vince was gonna handle the scheduling, I was gonna handle the maintaining of the field still, but then it became that I wouldn't paint fields the day that maybe LaForza was gonna be on the field. Why would I not paint the fields if it was gonna bring me in money? There's one thing I love more than as much as my family, and that is money. So yes, I would always bring in as much money for AYSO as possible. And I don't even paint the field, so why would it even be an issue? Larry paints them, and he likes all the lines to be straight, and he likes them all white, so it all looks pretty. So I have nothing to do even with the painting, except my husband paints the fields that Larry can't do. So that's the whole thing. The 3 of us could have the 3 organizations could have this all set. There was already a contract proposed, and we wouldn't even have to be here tonight.
Okay. If I had a team, how much would you charge me to play there?
It depends what type of game you're gonna play.
A soccer game.
Like 77,
Probably 11 and 11.
4v4, you're looking at 150.
150 a game?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're also gonna be on there we allot the time for 2 hours.
Okay, thank you.
May I ask a question to the board? If the contract is expiring in February, is it possible to get an extension to allow for the season to continue on since folks have already paid for that?
I'm gonna explore that with Mr. Shoemaker. I had that same
Yeah,
thought.
we're gonna have to ask county on that, because I was thinking.
My girls right now,
I get the,
That's why I'm
yeah.
here.
Well, and I get, that's
I got-
where the motivation's coming
I got 4
from.
that are probably
Yeah.
D1 quality full ride athletes, can't afford anything more.
Seriously?
Yeah, seriously.
D1?
Yeah, I got one that's probably, if you coach for 30 years, she's that one that you're gonna see.
National team?
Oh, dude, you probably know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
mean, she wanted to play U15. So.
We have these quality players that are
They beat
out
a
there.
boys travel team and they're girls. That tells you.
There's some good ones.
They
And
all
those
have
4
the
won't be
best of
playing
us.
anything if they can't have this. So we're looking at scholarships right now. She gives us
I'll explore that, because I had
Yeah,
that same
we're-
thought while we were sitting here.
They
Well,
won't do anything.
My thought, to add on to yours, John, is no matter which way this goes, I think if it did end up going to SLPR, I don't see, I see conditions in there where they would, of course, let you finish out the season. I don't see anybody on this board shutting this down in February of 2020.
Well, I would have to have that in legal writing, so that if we decided.
I take it as you will. I'm just telling you, this board isn't built that way.
I just have to answer to a bunch of families.
Well,
mean, if
what
you're
we
halfway
do too,
through
though,
a
Amy,
season
we do
now,
too.
so.
Because now, I will say, at one time, Tom and I was getting, from La Forza, families, lots of families, talking about wanting to be part of it more, and things like that. And for years, I said, no, it is AYSO. And yet now, when we have all this land that Mr. Krug the board has acquired for dog park and that, we were absolutely thinking of trying to get La Forza was thinking, hold on now, wait a minute. La Forza was thinking about putting it into those fields. We're not against any of you. We're not. But we got this hand, AYSO, which we all know about, and you've done an unbelievable job for the children. La Forza, which I don't know about soccer. And I hear good things about La Forza. So I have residents that have called me, and I could go through my notes, but it was years of living next to the soccer fields or close to it. A man has written many letters to us, taking his children over to play when there's nobody on the fields, and has been not allowed to do that. And you know, I mean, so we hear bits and pieces of everything. To me, this gentleman said it just like I feel from my heart. There's a group of people who want soccer. There's another group, and there's possibly another one. There's got to be something that we can do and not cut you out or cut La Forza or other things. You're all good people. You're all there for a good cause. Our hands, we really don't own it. So we're going to have to go to Shoemaker. And
The problem is that there's one thing all three organizations agree on is they don't want to pay a capital fee and they don't want to pay an administration fee. We don't need an administration fee because each one of us has our own registration that we have to do. So none of us wants to pay it. We could all work together.
That's what you
in
got
it,
to do.
And we have proposed this to Southern Lakes and they still have not come back. And the only thing that comes out of, I hear from Vince, is he wants capital funds, and Pat Lockwood has sent out letters to parents in response because they've sent them back to me. Oh, we're gonna give you new bathrooms and everything like that. The kids
Well,
don't care.
no, the kids don't care, but Health Department does.
Yes,
Health
and we will
Department.
make sure that there is a handicap thing, and we can make
Yeah.
sure that that's done. But the three organizations do agree on one thing. We don't want to pay all this extra cost that does not have to be paid.
See, and that's where we have nothing to do with that, but you could take it back to them.
Absolutely.
To charge.
Christine will take it back to them.
Yeah. And I haven't seen those, as I said.
It's in that green book that I gave you at that last meeting.
I understand that. What I was going to say is I haven't seen a formal proposal from management of SLPR. That's how the system works, is they have to bring a formal proposal to the board for us to consider. But I have heard everything that's been said here, and I will take it back because I truly do think it is for the good of the children, and there's no reason why we can't all work together and make sure that everybody gets fair usage. You know, you've done a fabulous job on the fields. Why can't there be some camaraderie and continue that? There's no reason why it has to be an all or nothing, and I think we can compromise and work
I
together.
don't wanna get hung up on these handicap bathrooms and stuff, because I can tell you, I go to a lot of soccer fields all over the state. My son's in La Forza. The ones yesterday didn't even have a bathroom. You know what they had? A trash can.
All right, but if they got the complaint, Health Department would be in there in a second, and shut them down.
Or what the laws are written
Well,
on it.
that's the laws. You gotta have it handicap accessible. All right, there, and then I'm gonna say good evening, and we're
You
gonna,
guys were good at- I mean, we gave silver spray docks, right? Right off the handicap, say, you know, you can have porta-johns out here or something. I mean, we're able to flex rules and bend things, let's do something.
come on,
over here.
honestly,
That-
give
that's the
us
city of
credit.
Fenton,
That's,
by the
yeah,
way.
that isn't us.
Okay, well,
Give us
I'm
credit.
clear, right?
When we sit
City
here and
of
say we're
Fenton.
gonna try, we're gonna try.
Fenton Township.
Okay, well, we do need to have some, I mean, we can't wait months on this. I mean, we
Amy,
waited
if
for
I
months.
could make things go faster, I would, but you can't do it that quick. You know, when you have private clubs, things like this, absolutely. But when you have government, and the attorney will say this, and Mr. Tucker, and Kristen, and Christine, and Mr. Krugen.
But you're putting us in a situation.
I know, but this is the first meeting I've been at, and I could not make a decision tonight if I had to. I couldn't, because I've been getting all this stuff, and I have read it, and you can see me outline it. We're going to try to get something going, but the worst thing in the world is don't put the pressure, and that's the God's truth. Anything that you do in government, with government, don't pressure them. Things will go, and there's many people that'll help work this out.
Well, as long as somebody can guarantee me that if we don't stay, that I can.
I can't guarantee, because I don't own the land. I can't guarantee you anything.
Who can guarantee?
County,
Before,
go.
Who can guarantee that you guys, that AYSO can stay throughout the spring?
Nobody right
Stay on the
now.
spring. I'm just saying that in April, I
Because
can
they
get my
gotta make
stuff.
a decision. We gotta make a decision.
We can't do it. I'm telling you, we can't do it.
leaving November 1st.
Well, the county owns the property. I'm gonna have
Yeah.
a conversation with Mr. Shoemaker before I leave tonight.
And that's what we gotta
What
do.
would have to happen would be cooperation between the county and the township to extend the term through the soccer season. That seems like a logical first step to me. It allows a little more time, so that instead of worrying about what the numbers are that we've calculated, that we can see what the real numbers are, and we can talk about real things instead of projected things. And it just takes time.
This board, we don't own it, but I'm telling you, this board, if they have control, that's not gonna be an issue for you.
He just says that between the township
And the county.
County.
Right.
So you have control.
No. we
No,
don't.
no.
We gotta agree with, the county's gotta agree.
We gotta persuade the county. That's what we have to do, persuade.
Do you guys still have the opportunity to release the land? Or is that going to pass?
I don't think it's,
No, in my eyes, we don't.
to release it.
Release it.
They wanna know if it,
We come back in a month with 1,000 signatures from the township saying, this is what the township wants to do. Will the
Can
board
we?
consider it then?
I don't think we've done anything permanent.
You don't have any right.
Yeah.
Does the county not want to release it to the township?
Who knows?
But isn't it about what the people want, not what you want?
That's the county's property.
Property.
Should we even be here and not like deal with the county directly?
Yes, that's what you should do.
Why?
I don't know why. I don't know why.
Correct. You know,
So the
Our
county
thing
doesn't
was
want
to
to lease
get
it
them
back
to
to the township?
renew.
but if they're not in a position to renew or even able to renew or whatever.
Should go to
they
county.
do it,
Able,
right?
they can renew, they're choosing not to.
Now, you're saying that, but we really do not know yet. We really don't. 25-year lease is done.
So let them
Now,
run the
we
try
gotta go to
renew,
county.
But you'll have to go to county who owns it and say,
We
hey.
have done deal with the county, and Barry told me to, play nice with Vince, which Vince Barry
Who's-
on the Southern Lakes Board.
You know what? I think what I'm gonna do, and I hate to say this, I'm going to adjourn the oh, wait a minute, Mr. Shoemaker, but I'm gonna let you talk, okay? But there is some people that wanna leave. I do know that. So I will do that. Yes, Mr. Shoemaker.
Just have one thing also. Nothing to do with the soccer field, but on October 23rd, 6 to 7 p.m., there'll be a town hall meeting to address vaping and how it's affecting our youth down at the administration building at the county. If anyone wants to attend, we'll have experts on hand to talk about it.
Tell me again, you said town hall meeting.
Town hall meeting down at the county. We're going to have an expert panel down there, the health department is, to talk about vaping and how it's actually affecting our youth in our community. It's only going to be an hour, but
And what time, Harrison Auditorium?
Harrison Auditorium from 6 to 7 p.m.
Give the date again, Sean.
October 23rd. This, I believe it is Wednesday.
Yeah, that's like.
Correct.
That's,
Yes.
that's Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yes. But I was sitting here and I thought, you know what?
I
Try to
know
get
that.
some more
I've got
Got a lot of passionate kid
people
there.
out.
They need to.
Well,
Now,
that's
open to
a
the
concern
public?
in our schools.
Open
It's
to the
huge.
public?
Yes.
There you go. There's your chance. 6 to 7, October 23rd, which is Wednesday.
That's
Vaping,
Board of
not
Health.
vaping.
I don't know
Huh?
if they want to come and actually talk to the board. I would look at the park meetings would be a good start if they want to start with that, and then they can come to our county board meetings, which are 9 a.m.
We'll
Wednesday
talk to you
mornings.
tomorrow and see. I know I have a big meeting on Wednesday at 4 o'clock, and it might go longer than that. But let's see what happens. So if you do want to come, we'll get information. But it's an open meeting to the public.
The Board of Health is a town hall meeting on Wednesday evening. The regular county meetings are open to the public, and there's time for public comment at the beginning of every meeting. And they start at 9 a.m. Every Wednesday morning.
Gotta go to county. You got to. All right. I'm gonna say good evening. I want to tell you though, I really want to thank all of you, how you maintained your attitude, let's put it that way. You did very well. I'm proud of you. I heard of things, Mr. Shoemaker and this whole board. We're gonna see what can be done. We don't know yet. And so I'm gonna say goodnight. The meeting's adjourned. I will keep the building open till 10 o'clock, and then it'll be closed if you have to.